What is helium? Well, it's simple. All you need is a headband with EEG sensors to monitor brain activity and a smartphone with the latest helium software. Now, all you have to do is put on the headband and fire up the experience. Now, the numbers that could indicate racial profiling in Columbia traffic stops are up, but whether that's a systemic problem, that's up for debate. Now, Teresa and her family moved to this area in 2014 because they said it was quiet. Now they'll be sandwiched in between the new school down here and Mill Creek Elementary around here. But protecting yourself is much easier than you may think. Most burglaries happen just like this. These reports happen in and around areas around major highways such as the I-70 corridor and the I-44 corridor. While the water behind me might look cold and refreshing, if you take a closer look, you'll find the truth is a little bit murkier. Check this out. The force of the break was so great that it ejected this piece of PVC pipe from the ground. On July 19th, Stretch Duck 7, just one of the ducks here at Ride the Ducks in Branson, plunged to the depths of Table Rock Lake, claiming the lives of 17 people. Now today, a grand jury handed down an indictment against the former captain, 51-year-old Kenneth McKee, for his role in the tragedy.
The captain of the vessel always has a duty to operate his vessel in a safe manner, and that's why Mr. McKee is under indictment at this moment.
U.S. Attorney for the Western District Tim Garrison announced the indictment at a press conference in Springfield Thursday afternoon. Flanked by local law enforcement, Garrison laid out the indictments, 17 counts of negligence and misconduct against McKee.
Each of the 17 counts in this indictment represents a life that was lost when Stretch Duck 7 sank while being piloted by Mr. McKee.
The indictment alleges McKee's behavior both before and after contributed directly to the deaths. Behavior like taking the boat into conditions it couldn't handle, as well as failing to raise the side curtains, failing to tell passengers to put on their life vests, and failing to get ready to abandon ship both times the ship's bilge warning went off. McKee faces Class C felony charges. If convicted, he could spend up to 10 years in prison without the possibility of parole for each count and a $250,000 fine. Garrison says the indictment is only the beginning.
We're strongly committed to bringing this investigation to a conclusion as quickly as we can without sacrificing or compromising the integrity of this investigation. We owe that to the victims and the surviving family members of this tragedy.
Now, Garrison says while McKee is not currently in custody right now, he is expected to turn himself in. Garrison also wouldn't say whether anyone else is under investigation, only that the investigation is ongoing. Now, one other Duckboat employee that perished in the accident was the driver, Bob Williams. Reporting live in Branson, Blake Salmon, KOMU 8 News.
All right, Blake, thank you very much. This is a story that has taken its toll on Missouri's tourism capital, and today's news hit it hard again. Neighbors in Branson say this has been on their...
Really just the cost of some time and a little bit of inconvenience and a little bit of discomfort.
How does a man celebrate a unique milestone of giving blood?
By going to a blood drive, of course. KOMU 8's Blake Salmon talked to this Ashland man who has turned giving blood into a lifestyle.
Patrick Lee remembers the first time he donated blood. It was 50 years ago today. Now, since then, he's donated blood almost 200 times, including today, to celebrate the anniversary. He still has the original donation card.
They wrote down 122B Hatch Hall, but that's a mistake. Hatch is the girls' dorm. I lived in the adjoining dorm. I was 122B Hudson Hall.
50 years and 197 donations later, Patrick Lee's tradition is still going strong.
It's just a little thing done time after time after time, ends up being a big thing. I'm looking forward to next spring when I'll earn my 25-gallon pin.
According to the Red Cross, just one donation can save up to 3 lives. Red Cross officials say they have a soft spot for donors like Lee.
I mean, we love them, for lack of a better way to put it. I mean, they're our bread and butter, so to speak.
Lee has a routine when he donates. Mark the date of his next appointment and pick up some extra snacks for the kids.
And their phrase was that, well, Daddy went blooding. That's what they said, Daddy went blooding, and they knew if I bought home sacks of cookies or whatever, Daddy went blooding. I wanted them to think of it as a normal thing to do of giving blood, not something weird or scary or anything.
His giving is something he hopes to spread to the rest of his family.
I do the same thing now with my grandchildren, so maybe when they turn 16 or 17, they'll be blood donors too, and we can keep this thing going.
So you're hoping to turn it into a family affair?
Yes, I'd love that. I'd love that.
Now, Patrick will be back to donate blood in exactly 8 weeks. That's the earliest he's physically allowed to donate. And of course, he's already got it marked down on his calendar. In the studio, Blake Salmon, KOMU 8 News.
It won't install or frozen screen. It seems like technology is always a challenge. A Columbia-based virtual reality storytelling company hopes to change that.
StoryUp designed a series of products to help people slow down and connect with their emotions. You might see a familiar face in this one. KOMU 8's Blake Salmon visited the company looking to technology to improve mental health and shows us what he found.
We created Helium, in a sense, for myself and everyone else who suffers from anxiety.
StoryUp CEO and former KOMU 8 anchor Sarah Hill is no stranger to stress.
Hey gang, here's some of the stories that we're working on for our new newscast in about 20 minutes.
A journalist for more than 2 decades, Hill says the constant stress took a heavy toll.
And it's trauma on a daily basis. And I suffered from anxiety, and I had to get out of the business for a little while.
Hill founded StoryUp in 2015 while working with Veterans United to help terminally ill World War II veterans experience an honor flight, even though they were too sick to make the trip. StoryUp created a virtual reality tour of Washington, D.C.
What did you think of that?
That was great, I'll tell you that.
They weren't just watching that media, they were feeling it.
That was amazing.
Yeah?
All these years, I've always heard about it, but I never got to see it.
Hill says the experience had some veterans doing things they hadn't done in years.
We had one caretaker tell us, a veteran, when we came in to give him Helium, she said he's not able to raise his arms above his head because he doesn't have the strength to do that. So you'll have to assist him and put the goggles on for him, which we did. Halfway through that experience, that veteran had his arms above his head, trying to reach out for the people that he saw in the screen.
So, Hill took the technology a step further. She and psychologist Jeff Tarrant got a provisional patent on virtual reality therapy. What is Helium? Well, it's simple. All you need is a headband with EEG sensors to monitor brain activity and a smartphone with the latest Helium software. Now, all you have to do is put on the headband and fire up the experience. Hill says the science behind Helium is solid.
2 peer-reviewed journals just recently came out with studies showing that Helium not only reduces self-report anxiety, but it increases feeling of positivity in a group of firefighters.
Helium's core concept is the idea that your thoughts have the power to change your world. According to lead designer Ricky Rockley, the headband measures and tracks gamma asymmetry, an electrical impulse associated with feelings of positivity and joy.
Once you're above that certain threshold of positivity, you're basically going to see the scene unfold before you. And that's kind of our thoughts with everything that we build.
Now, people aren't the only beings that experience stress. Rockley says the Baroque has seen better days.
It's been around for 350 years or so. It's been in the family for 7 generations. And so, when I saw it, I wondered what it would look like, before they built the road next to it, before it had been defaced.
The experience opens onto a grim scene, but it doesn't have to stay that way.
And so, as you think positively, as you get above this baseline, the scene, the environment starts to heal itself. As you saw, the trash dissolves away and the graffiti burns off, and the tree, becomes more beautiful. Even the lighting in the scene goes from a real cool blue to a warm yellow.
Resilience, a universal lesson.
That Baroque has been through floods, droughts, graffiti, all kinds of things, and yet it endured.
Hill says Helium is already being used around the country, from nurses suffering from compassion fatigue to U.S. Navy sailors needing some time in nature when they're surrounded by nothing but water.
Helium is a place where you can, unplug, relax, become more self-aware of your emotions, and actually spend some time on yourself.
As Hill says, it's not health care, it's self-care. In Columbia, Blake Salmon, KOMU 8 News.
Hill says pretty soon you'll be able to use Helium with any kind of wearable that measures your physiology. That includes the Apple Watch, Garmin, Fitbit, and so on. Kenton.